And welcome to Talking Sibos. Each day we've been bringing you news and views from people on the exhibition floor, a tradition we continue right now. Nadine's been talking tech down on the InnoTribe stand, and she's found the man in charge, that is Kevin Johnson. And she started off by asking him to explain InnoTribe's role at Sibos.
Our mission is really to bring together the different ecosystems that Swift works with, our customers, the fintech startups, the big technology players.
Now, what I do like about what you're doing this year, focusing on women in particular and their role in innovation and technology, can you shine some light on that?
It's not just women, it's about diversity. And I think to be successful, you need to have a diverse team, and that's what we've tried to do with our speakers. On Monday, we kicked off with a fabulous keynote by Admiral Michelle Howard. Standing room only. Yeah. It was amazing. We've got some great women speakers coming in. We've got all women panels. We've got all male panels. It's about bringing different ideas from different places.
Because diversity is of mind and thought as well.
Yep.
Not just necessarily of different places.
Well, I think it was Justin Trudeau said, and I quoted him last year in InnoTribe, he said, diversity is the mother of invention. It's necessity. If you haven't got that diverse team, how are you going to have those breakthrough ideas?
Now, how about the startup communities in Africa and Russia? I noticed they're featuring in Toronto. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What kind of developments are taking place in those territories, and why here?
So, our InnoTribe Startup Challenge started as a global program. We were one of the first challenges to go out to the fintech ecosystems in London, in New York, in Singapore to find out what was going on, to bring it to the community's attention. 5 years on, there's a fintech startup competition in London and New York every single day. Our mission to bring that to the community isn't needed. But at the same time, we found out the community in Africa weren't aware of what was going on in their own backyard. So we partnered with the Swift African Conference and started bringing fintech there. And the communities asked for more of this. Last year, we worked with our conference in Latin America. And this year, the Central Bank of Russia actually asked us to come in and bring our program to what they're doing, to really showcase what fintechs are about. So we've asked the winners of that competition to come in, not to pitch their products, but to really explain what it's like as an innovator on the ground in Russia and in Africa.
Очень хорошо, or very good, as they say in Russia.
Thank you.
Now, as head of InnoTribe, it's in its 9th year, so you've got a very special project to look after.
Yes.
It's at the cutting edge in many ways. I mean, where do you see InnoTribe in its place in the industry?
I think InnoTribe is kind of owned by this financial community, and this is what we wanted to do with the coffee shop. If you look around, people have come in, they've taken ownership of it. Our mission used to be about explaining what great proof of concepts were coming up, who was working on things, whereas this year, rather than focusing on a proof of concept, we want to look at industries that are already at the cutting edge and bring lessons from that edge back to the industry. So all of our speakers, our main speakers, don't come from finance, but we've coupled them up with somebody from inside to translate and help us learn those lessons so we as a community can advance forward.
So I suppose you know what it's like within the finance industry. You need to get those external influences in so people can truly learn and get best practice from other areas.
It's best practice, I think, is the right word. These guys are out there day in, day out. They're doing APIs, they're doing digital first. How can we tap into that knowledge and translate that into some action that we as an industry can take forward?
Kevin, an absolute pleasure to talk to you again. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Never a dull moment there at InnoTribe. So if you've not visited yet, make sure you do. There'll be more from Nadine a little bit later in the program. But now it's time for that all-important update on the Swift game. We've been reporting on it all week, so I thought I should go down, give it a try myself, and, well, this is what happened.
That's it. Yeah. And again. Yes, get it.
Not too bad.
Last time.
Okay. You know what? We've been talking about it on the show, so I had to come and try it. And the first time wasn't so good, but I'm pretty glad I got on the leaderboard after my 3rd attempt, you know? I think I got it into the hundreds, about 130, so I'm up there in about position number 5, so I'm pretty pleased about that.
Stephen, actually, initially he was okay, but then he had another go and he was brilliant. So he's done really well to get up to 5th on the leaderboard. I was well impressed. He's got some good skills there and he's got some good technique. So maybe he'll come down again and play, but we just want as many people as possible to come down. It's really good fun, obviously, but also it's for such a good cause. The charity sketch is fantastic, and we want to raise as much money as we possibly can for them.
I'm going back again today for one more try because it does get easier. And after all, it is for a great cause. So don't forget that Swift is giving €30 for every game played at Sketch, this year's Art at Sibos partner. And of course, you get one of these great souvenirs as well. Well, here is another example of how Sketch has helped change the life of a young person.
My name is Huda Alderdiri. I'm a textile artist, so I hand draw, I paint images, and then I make fabric, and then from that, clothing and accessories. For me, it's not about making, it's about learning. How am I going to learn more about myself? When I start drawing my textiles, I go into like this zone. It's like a part of me disappears. It's like I'm hyper aware of everything that's around me, but there's an invisible wall between me and the rest of the world. And there's a wall between me and myself. It's like I'm looking at a mirror. So when I see a drawing afterwards, it's actually telling me something about myself. And that's why my art is healing. Yeah, I've had a lot of dark moments in my life. There's a lot of beautiful moments and a lot of darkness. And then there's a lot of beauty in the darkness. And the one thing that has always kept me going is this need to put it somewhere. And that's paper and pen. When I started Sketch, it was like, I want to heal. And I need a community, and I need to be somewhere where I'm not looked at as crazy, because my whole life everyone's looked at me as crazy. And I think Sketch was the best excuse to like just keep moving forward. Being a part of a community is essential to healing. I'm just gonna keep moving, keep creating, keep demanding attention.
As you can see, Sketch is out there changing lives, and you can play a part by simply heading down to the Swift stand to play the hockey game, where €30 is given for every game played, no matter how good or bad you might be. Well, earlier we heard from the head of Inner Tribe, Kevin Johnson, about some of the headline themes that are leading the fintech agenda across this week in Toronto. So let's head back to Inner Tribe now, where Nadine's been catching up with some of the key speakers and moderators looking after this year's tech sessions here at Sibos. Among them, Christine Duhaime, founder of the Digital Finance Institute.
Now, Christine, you're recognised in the top 100 thought leaders when it comes to fintech. So here at Sibos, what has caught your eye?
I've been fascinated by blockchain and digital currencies for a very long time, probably since 2013. So anytime one of those topics is on stage, I really want to go listen to it and hear what the next wave is. And I'm also really fascinated with artificial intelligence and machine learning and how that's going to change finance. So those two topics and financial inclusion as well really catch my eye, and I would like to follow those trends.
So how will artificial intelligence impact the industry, do you think?
I think it'll impact it from the moment of onboarding all the way through to client development, with things like just chat bots that will learn the client and be able to answer its questions, to things like voice recognition, to things like anti-fraud and anti-money laundering law. I think we'll end up to a point where machines are our banks and robots are responding to us at a physical bank branch, and I think the humans will disappear and the machines will come in banking. But in a way, it's really exciting, as well as a little bit nerve-wracking in terms of what that means for everybody being able to get a bank account who may not have computers, may not be tech savvy. So there's some risks, but there's also an enormous promise.
And what's your take on the fintech offering here at Sibos? How do you rate it?
Really amazing. Like what I love about Sibos always is, all the big players are here, but also all the little companies with the latest technology. So I really like how there's that great mix of, the ones that have been around for 400 years and the newcomers, and they get to talk about where they're going and do deals, which is really exciting for all of them. But plus it puts everyone on stage. So I really like that egalitarian part of Sibos, is everyone gets good stage time and it makes a difference on their businesses.
The Inner Tribe team are able to really pinpoint companies that are going to move forward in the future. We as a company were selected in 2015, and 2017 we are now bigger, and we've raised capital and we've made a bigger team. And so I think that the Inner Tribe team are really good at selecting those companies that will last the test of time.
One of the key themes seems to be collaboration. How does that fit in with the traditional banking industry and fintechs coming together? Where are we? Where's the state of play?
So a few years ago when we spoke, I think that there were a number of different PR moves when it came to fintech. But now I think that we've moved towards the reality of execution and actually delivering on projects. And I think that that's important, moving beyond the POC, because that's where the real business happens and that's where the real change will start to happen across the sector. But it will take time and it's a journey, so we need to make sure that we take everyone along with us.
Now, I know on Monday you're a speaker here, financial inclusion, and when you think back to what Bill Gates said at Sibos in Boston in 2014, that 2 billion people were underserved and unbanked, what progress has been made since then, 3 years later?
Lots of progress in Africa and Asia. We have seen digital financial systems like mobile money emerge. There are more than 90 instances of it today, and that's great. The next step of innovation, according to this plan, is to make these systems interoperable between them. And Monday, we have also announced our contribution to this. It's called Moja Loop. It's an open source software that allows interoperability between these mobile money systems.
Because the technology is there really to leapfrog old legacy systems.
Correct.
So that's why certain countries like Africa can be more financially inclusive. I'm just wondering though, is the speed of progress fast enough? So what else can be done to speed things up?
So it can always be faster because we want that all of these 2 billion people be actually connected by 2035. So always possible to accelerate, and we think that interoperability will be a key acceleration point to create a payment platform that spans Africa.
One of the foundational premises of being included is actually having identity. So we talked about the notion of what identity is made up of. It is not only just transactional data, it is behavioral data, it is biometrics. It's a multifaceted problem, or a multifaceted issue of actually constructing identity. But you cannot be included in a system where you don't exist. And so how do we actually construct an identity that allows people to be onboarded in a very gradual way to full financial inclusion, but even getting them onboarded into very simple things like credit and risk profiling, also current account limitations, but they need to transact in payments, they need to be able to save. How do we do this by providing them an identity inside of our industry?
And where does regulations fit into all of this?
Well, one of the things we need to really consider is GDPR in context of identity, and the General Data Protection Regulation that will be standardized coming out in 2018, the implications of who actually owns that data. So it is when we start to capture biometric data from fingerprint scans, iris scans, authentication points, we also have to couple that with the transactional data and some of the behavioral data that we start to see in terms of e-commerce and all of those little things that map together to create a person. Who actually owns that data? Are we going to become the industry that is the custodian of that identity as an aggregate of all of that data? And those implications, we have to be very, very careful of how we construct identity in this space that also bleeds over into e-commerce, it bleeds over into government, and it bleeds over into financial inclusion, but it is really all about how we package and protect and be custodians of that identity data.
Data is the new oil.
Data is the new oil. Oil is your identity. Identity will be the new asset class, the new capital wealth of the future.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Nadine.
Nadine and I will be back for lunch with Sibos at 1 p.m. But right now, stay with us here on SibosTV for today's big issue debate, the future of money. How social media platforms and data-driven startups are using data to power targeted advertising and generate new services. The question, how can the financial industry extract more value from their platforms and the abundance of data that they possess? That's in the plenary room and also right here on the screen next. We'll be back with you at 1.